Let's see. All right. All right. Let's see. Give everybody a second to pop in here. Let's see. All right. Ooh, we're up to 39 followers now. Ooh, yeah. Right on. Oh, we got some news to talk around. Hello there. Hello. Let's see. All right, just make sure everything is up. Trying to get the word out. Let's see. Let's turn the chat on. All right. Yeah, all right. And looks like we got somebody in Twitch. And looks like we might have somebody in YouTube too. Cool. We'll get started here in a second. Give me just a minute. All right, cool. All right, well, welcome back to another edition of the Infinite Rabbit Hole Lunch Break. I'm your host, Jeremy. Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Gonna try to fit it in as little time as possible. I don't have a ton of time today, but with all the news that has been going on here in the United States, I feel like it's pretty important that we talk about it. Not that you're not hearing this from other sources right now, but I'd like to be able to make sure that the people that do listen to the Infinite Rabbit Hole are within the loop too. So let's start off where we left off last time, which would be from the fog. I got a couple people reaching out to me after that recording and saying that they were seeing the fog in their area of the country. I had a couple people from outside the country that were saying that they also were seeing the fog. Some people are heavily convinced that the fog was just fog and it's just, everyone's just going crazy. And then others are saying that it's not just normal fog, that it absolutely is something different. We're getting reports now of styrofoam like snow in Pennsylvania. A couple of things that were brought to my attention, and I can attest to this living in northwestern Wisconsin, that this fog was occurring during periods where the air was sub 20 degrees. And that's true. We did have fog shortly before that recording, the day before that recording. And as I was coming home from work, it was 18 degrees out and it was really foggy. And somebody, brought up that fog doesn't happen in the cold. And from what I can tell from uh, Google, right? Not a very good source, but from what I can tell, is for the most part, it's true. Now, if the ground is super hot, that could be different. The problem is that we've been sub 20, sub 30s for a long time. I mean, northwestern Wisconsin, we did get up into, the high 30s a couple days prior to that, but it's not hot enough to get the ground um, to where it needs to be in order to create fog in such cold weather. So, take that into consideration. This was abnormal fog. In my books, from what I saw, it didn't seem like the standard fog. I mean, I've been on this planet for almost 37 years now, and been through a lot of fog, especially out on the boat in the middle of the ocean, and on the seawall, launching helicopters and airplanes, and this wasn't. It just wasn't standard fog. Didn't look like the typical fog. Um, Now we have mainstream media reporting uh, that there seems to be some issues with the fog and that there was a massive wave of fog being spread across the United States. Now, they did fail to, from the ones that I saw, right? Specifically, the one that I saw first was from Daily News. It was retweeted by a an account that I follow and monitor. Um, and they they were saying exactly what we were talking about, and exactly what a lot of people were talking about, you know, as a conspiracy theorist when it comes to, you know, uh, fake weather or manufactured weather. Um, I don't know. I think that it has a I think that that fog was a little different. Now, whether or not it was modified by our government, like a lot of people believe, I don't know. I have no idea. All I can tell you is that it felt different. It just looked different. It the it was weird, really thick, not typical fog. But that's about as much as I have to talk about on that today. Um, I don't want to get too caught up in the fog. I want to get into these terrorist attacks. Now, if you were living under a rock, there has been a few events lately here in the United States and in other places around the world, specifically England, France, and Germany, just to name a few, where there were some very disturbing. Ooh, there might be another one that just popped up too. Well, we'll get into that maybe if I can find more about it. But there was some pretty disturbing events that happened. That it seemed to started off with a a man driving through a crowd of people in New Orleans, jumping out of his truck and opening fire to kill more people. The last thing I saw was there was 10 people that were officially killed. I've seen some reports where they say 15. I'm not 100% sure, so take that with a grain of salt. But shortly after that, we had a truck bomb explode in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas, and the thing that these two guys had in common was that they're both Army. One's a veteran. The guy who uh, ran through the crowd in New Orleans was a veteran. The guy who supposedly blew up his truck in Las Vegas was active duty Green Beret. Um, and we've been getting a lot of reports coming out saying that his family is reporting that he was a heavy Trump supporter, loved his country, loved the army, loved everything that he did. He did have some up and down relationships with supposed Bernie Sanders supporting women. Um, Not that that matters at all, honestly, but it's it, the fact that there was a active duty Green Beret who was found to have killed himself inside of his truck. The going storyline is that he shot himself in the head right before it exploded. Uh, there's a couple things here, right, that I just want to kind of bring up about this specific case, and that is that apparently they found his military ID and his military passport. Now, for those of you that don't know what a military passport looks like, the standard one for civilians is blue. The one that I used to have when I was a service member or active duty service member was like a maroon. Um, but for the most part, it was paper, right? It had that composite cover like the standard one does now, and the ID card or the CAT card, aka the Common Access card that we use for our IDs, was standard ID material. It's same thing as a driver's license, pretty much. Um, this man was burned so bad in that truck that it took them over 24 hours to positively identify this person. They were suspicious about him first. So his name started making the rounds, and then they came out and said, yes, this was who he was. The reason for the hesitancy in getting his name announced was because we weren't 100% convinced that this is who it was. We couldn't tell because of how bad he was burned. Um, that's weird. Let's just say, because if he was burned that bad, how is it that his ID and his paper passport were okay? I don't understand that. Apparently, they were able to positively identify him by a portion of his arm and the tattoos that were on them. And his family were even hesitant to say it was him because of how bad the damage was, um, but admitted that the tattoos that were there looked like they were his, um, but still couldn't see them clearly to positively identify him. Um, so, a- as well as a trunk full of fireworks and explosives found in this Cybertruck, by the way, from Tesla. So there's a bit of a symbolism there, or a call out to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You would think. Um, there were two guns found. One of them being a Desert Eagle. Apparently, this Desert Eagle and this other gun were extremely badly damaged by the fire as well. So again, the question is, if he was so burned that it became difficult to positively identify who he was, and the guns were also damaged uh, by said fire, um, how is it that his ID and his passport was intact? I don't know. Seems weird. Seems really weird. Now, the one thing that we're going to do today, sorry, somebody asked me for the link to this. Um, Twitch. By the way, if you're listening to this post recording, we go live on twitch.tv/infinite rabbit hole, usually on Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Time. But randomly throughout the week, on my days off. I'll stop by at noon to kind of go over some current events with everybody and take a trip down the Google rabbit hole, if you will. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna kind of just go through this and talk about this. So the first thing that I want to look into is that somebody was claiming, I wouldn't say somebody, there was multiple claims by multiple people that I saw, that this Cybertruck has the ability to self-drive. Now, this may be common knowledge to a lot of people. Personally, I don't know this. So first thing we'll do, do does the Cybertruck have a self-driving, I don't know, setting, capability, right? And let's see what we get off of that. I'll share the screen with you. So we have, yes, the Tesla Cybertruck has a self-driving setting called full self-driving supervise. To activate full self-driving, press the right scroll button. Let's see. I wonder if it's got to have body weight in it or whatnot, because one of the major theories that's going on around this whole thing right now is that the guy the guy had a head injury from what looked like a self-inflicted gun wound. Um, and that he supposedly had done it right before the truck blew up. Now, I've seen some videos where you can clearly see the truck pull up to the front of the hotel, and you don't see anything in the window when it stops. They say 17 seconds after it stopped in front of the hotel, right in front of the big glass windows and doors, it blew up. You don't see the flash or the report of a gun going off, especially one that's like the Desert Eagle, right? So, for those of you that aren't familiar with a Desert Eagle, this thing is massive. Okay, uh, let's go ahead and bring this up. It's a semi-automatic pistol known for its large size and ability to fire powerful Magnum cartridges, most notable for the 50 caliber Action Express. Um, these things are big, and although I've never fired a Desert Eagle, um, I can say that I am pretty sure that if that thing went off inside of that truck just prior to, you'd be able to see some sort of evidence of it beforehand. Um, so there's a theory that this guy was killed, put into the truck, and set the self drive and explode in front of Trump Towers. Is this what I believe? I'm going to stay neutral on this. I will say that it is extremely fishy and weird that this happened this way. Um, I've known Green Berets, plenty of them. I've known a couple special operators in the Navy as well. Um, could they be radicalized? They could, but it's highly unlikely. Uh, Also, you know, I understand people lead secret lives, but I don't know, when your family comes forward and says that, you're uh, a serious supporter of America, the military, what it stands for, you were looking forward to the Trump presidency. It it just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right that you would blow yourself up and, kill yourself in front of Trump Tower. I don't know. There's a lot of sketchiness going on with this particular case. But we're gonna leave that one there. We're not gonna dive any further into that, except for briefly when we kind of talk about the big picture. So let's go back to New Orleans. This guy, he was a real estate agent. Um, let's let's bring up an article because honestly, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Uh, I I think it was somewhere around 3 a.m. In New Orleans where the the gentleman drove his truck through. Let's see, through a crowd of people. Please, hopefully that's not gonna be loud. Okay, so looks like 14 people are dead. Let's see. This was updated 10 a.m. today. So 14 people are dead, 35 people were injured when the man drove down Bourbon Street, which is, if you know anything about New Orleans, Mardi Gras, this is your hub for all the party, right? This is where it goes down. So this is the gentleman right here, and this is an IED, improvised explosive device that he placed prior to the attack. So this was something that was supposed to go off. You can see it right here. See how close that thing is? It's That's so dangerous, man. That's incredible. Incredible that we're facing this kind of stuff here in the homeland now. But he was in the army. I'm not 100% sure as to what he did. I have seen reports that he was in intelligence, which is concerning. Um, but then he was radicalized, and he's from Houston. There's also a church in Houston, or not a church. Let me take that back. A mosque, right? Uh, f- Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say they're called mosques. I'm not a religious person myself. Uh, so please forgive me. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but um, they sent out, or there's a video going around of them at one of the services. It was either yesterday or today, where they're telling people in the stands that Christians are scum, and they wreak havoc everywhere that they live throughout history. Some of them were turned to pigs, some of them were turned into rats. Don't talk to the police. So this is something that's going around in the Houston area. Um, and I mean, I've seen some pretty brutal stuff. And the thing is I don't really want to talk too much on it unless I can get uh multiple sources. I don't want to report from just one. Uh, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find this video. I was gonna play it for you guys if I could find it, but I can't. I can't find it. I've seen it multiple times this morning, and I just can't seem to find it. Oh, so here's a big part right here. So um in Houston, the guy's home for the guy who drove through the crowd in New Orleans was recently part of a video for some news channel where the reporter walked through it. This was post attack in New Orleans. I don't personally know how reporters got access to the home that quick, but they did. That alone seems pretty sketchy to me. Usually, in these cases where something like this were to happen, uh, that resident, the home would be just shut down for long periods of time, and nobody would have access to it for a while other than the authorities. And that's not what we saw. Um, Now, as of about an hour ago, we're getting reports that it is yet again shut down. They locked it up, and there is a bomb squad on the property. So uh, uh, there might be some more there. It was originally put out that um, he did not act alone. Then it was receded and said that he did act alone. So kind of confused on some of that. Let's see. Trying to find some good stuff for you guys. Sorry, I don't have this stuff kind of just set up ready to go when it's time to do this. I got tons of stuff I got to do every day, so I kind of take this time out and do things on the go for these lunch breaks. You guys seem to enjoy them, so as long as we get good feedback and people express their interest in what we're doing here, we'll keep doing it. But so since then, I can't find it. If I can find it again, I'll repost it to our socials. Um, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. Okay. Um, after that, we had a few other events that happened starting yesterday morning in New York City or Queens in specific. There was a what they called a mass shooting at a club where multiple people died. From what I understand, that was gang violence. You have some sources on Twitter or X that are saying that it was not, and that the videos going around are of an old incident that was had nothing to do with that club whatsoever. So I don't know what to think of that. I guess we'll learn more later. There was a small plane that crashed into a warehouse in California. That's the fourth or fifth plane crash that we've had in a week. There was an IED, another one of those improvised explosive devices, found attached to a railway system in Idaho. Um, there was a 16-wheeler, 18-wheeler, whatever, pulled over in South Carolina, where the driver told the authorities that pulled him over that there was a bomb in the truck. So we had that going on yesterday too. Um, there was violence in other areas of the world. I'm not gonna talk about those too much because honestly, I don't know too much about what's going on in other parts of the world. I do know that there's an issue with a ton of people and the SA issues in England. Um, there were violence with more violence with cars in places like Germany and France. Um, so we're starting off this new year not on a very strong lick. It's uh it's not starting off very well. But the thing is that if you look at all of it, and not just the stuff that happened since January 1st, but even if we go back to the two President Trump assassination attempts, um, those two attempts with the kid on the roof, the guy who tried to assassinate Donald Trump while he was at his golf course, the man who drove through the crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and the man who blew up a Cybertruck right outside of Trump Tower in Las Vegas. A lot of people are drawing lines and connections with Fort Bragg. Apparently, the two guys who did the attacks on New Year's Day um, both served in Fort Bragg. Now, I just want to be clear about something, right? I've never been to Fort Bragg, but I've been to NAS Norfolk. That's where I was stationed. Um, Military bases aren't small. I mean, there are some small ones, but for the most part, they're not tiny. Okay. Fort Bragg population is right now at 7,000, and at times will hold up to, it looks like, 50,000 people, maybe even more than that. Um, let's see, Norfolk NAS. Uh, this is where I was stationed. 82,000 active duty military and 29,000 civilians. So over 100K people there. Let's look up, let me see, Fort Bragg Army base. Let's go with that. Okay, so by looking up Army base in specific, because apparently Fort Bragg might be the general area. I don't know where they got the number before, but now we're looking at 52,000 people and 14,000 civilian employees, and a total of 63,000 active duty family members. That's a lot of people. Okay. That's also not saying that they were there at the same time, which is something that I haven't been able to figure out whether or not they were there at the same time. And most likely, if they were there at the same time, they weren't there in the same place, especially if one was intelligence and one was special operations. I mean, those do overlap a little bit, but for the most part, to say that that is a connecting point, I think it's moot. I don't think that there's really anything there. There's if you're in the army or you did some time in the army, it's a pretty good chance that you spend some time at Fort Bragg. Just be honest. Like just yeah, I don't see that as a connecting tidbit. Now, if it comes out that they were in the same training regiment, spent some time together, found out that there was a connection, I'll rescind that. But I don't think that that really has anything to do with it. And then other people are drawing parallels or connections with the app that they use to rent their trucks. Um, one used the guy that was in New Orleans, and he used his truck to kill a bunch of people as the weapon. Also had an ISIS flag on it. Um, and the guy in Las Vegas, both of them rented their vehicles from the same place, same app. Um, I didn't even know that there was an app to rent vehicles from, other than reserving something from the airport. Honestly, so I don't know. I mean, if you're going to rent a vehicle, how many options are there? I don't know. Let's take a look at it. Right. Let's see. Let me bring up the screen share with you. Okay. Um, how many apps in the US can be used to rent a vehicle? There are several apps that can be used to rent vehicle in the United States, including Turo, which is the world's largest car sharing marketplace. And that is the app that they use. So Turo, which I've never heard of, apparently is the largest app to be able to rent a vehicle from. Is there really a connection between the two just because they rented from the world's largest vehicle renting app? I don't personally think so. And, you have some people that are coming forward and they are agreeing, but they're saying it's not these specific things. It's all of the things that they have in common that people are drawing their conclusions from, saying that they were most likely uh, working together or in some way, um, you know, working on the same side of things. Okay, sure. I mean, I maybe I don't know. The one in Las Vegas really kind of freaks me out. I'm most interested to learn about that one. The one in New Orleans sounds like a cut and dry, radicalized person who just wanted to go and kill people, which sucks. But it happens, and the reality of it is that the reality of it is it seems like we might be in for a hard time here in the United States, and that's my concern. Um, if you had a chance to listen to Sarah Adams on the um, the Sean Ryan show, another podcast, you would know that this was something that is known. We know that there's radicalized terrorists here in the United States. Ooh, I got a comment here. Div Mexican, what's up, man? It just seems like they are finding the smallest things to piece together. That's yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. I personally, I think it's more likely that these were separate, completely. That they weren't coordinated together. Um, Maybe maybe they were. I don't know. I have no idea. We got to kind of wait and see how this unravels. And even when it does, we're not going to get the whole story. It kind of sucks. But we have multiple, multiple people coming forward right now, from the government, especially a lot of leakers that are coming out and saying, "Hey, uh, prepare yourselves, prepare your family. This could get really ugly." The world is on edge right now. Okay. And I know this isn't something that we normally talk about here on the Infinite Rabbit Hole, but, with Jake and I being veterans and, also being Americans, it's important to kind of talk about this kind of stuff and open up the dialogue, but at the same time, not get completely freaked out by um, the plethora of information that's being thrown at you from every which way, because there's a lot of it. Okay. And you got to sift through it yourself and understand that not all of it is going to be true. Um, I have been watching Twitter or X pretty heavily over the last 72 hours because of this stuff. Um, I wouldn't say that Twitter is your best option for information. It might be. It might be, honestly. But I can tell you that Twitter will give you some of the information that you're going to get from the mainstream media way earlier, way earlier. So, for example, uh, somebody on Twitter, some miscellaneous person, put out that it was being thought that the guy who blew up the car in front of Trump Tower had killed himself with a gun prior to the truck exploding. I'm talking 8 hours later, mainstream media comes out and says the same thing. This is the kind of stuff that you can find if you go to Twitter, if you go to X, and you read through the posts and you see what seems legitimate. Because there's a lot of people doing a lot of work right now. Um, and huh, that's crazy. Sorry, I'm cruising through Twitter right now, trying to find some examples here. Um, but you got to be careful with Twitter, right? Uh, Read it, understand that anything that's put out could be something that's true, something that you should pay attention to, but wait, okay? Use that information to ready yourself. Wait for more confirming accounts to come through. Once that does, move forward with whatever you have to do. Um, that has proven to be the case multiple times in the last 72 hours on Twitter and on TikTok for me. You have people that come out and they break these news stories that seem a little ridiculous, right? The Let's use, for example, the truck, the the bomb threat on the truck in South Carolina, right? That rolled through my feed on X 2 hours before any mainstream media market or program was talking about it. So you can find valuable information. Okay. There was pictures of the ISIS flag on the truck of the first attack in New Orleans. There were people, unfortunately giving out the names of those who had passed away that during that attack. Like, you can find a lot of really good information on X and TikTok if you can sift through it and understand what is bullshit scare tactics, um, and what isn't, or at least be patient, be aware but patient. That's pretty much what I would I would say, right? Um, so back to my concern for the state of the country, and the threats that we could be seeing coming over the horizon. And I'm not trying to play scare tactics here. I just want to make sure that people are watching out for themselves, and they know where to go to get the latest information, and sort of be ready for. One of the things that's making its way around Twitter this morning is the fact that the Chinese army is in Mexico. They have a massive amount of presence there right now. That's scary. That's really, really scary if that's the case. Um, I think it's the PLA, right? The People's Liberation Army. So let's do this. Let's um uh right here, just bringing it up on X. Let me see. Let me share with you guys. Um, and again, all I did was in the search bar just put PLA, People's Liberation Army. That's the Chinese army in Mexico. China's PLA has participated in Mexico's Independence Day celebrations parade in the past. Mexico and sources commented at the time about the importance of the Mexico-China relationship in light of growing tensions between the United States and Mexico. Um, let's see. Can you confirm if the China PLA soldiers are stationed in Mexico? You got a lot of talks going on right now. The presence of PLA soldiers in Mexico for training exercises is likely part of China's strategy for outreach to countries in Central and South America. Okay. So you have a lot of people talking about it right now. And now you're starting to see people come through and say, hey, this is most likely a training exercise or some sort of thing. Okay. Then you have those people that are talking about, well, yeah, of course they're going to do it underneath the guise of a training exercise. Um, but to be clear, I've also seen plenty of training exercises with us going to other countries too. So, I mean, is it outside of the possibility? No, right? That could definitely be the case. But with all of the land that's been bought up by the Chinese here in the United States, the drone issues, not saying that they're Chinese, but that is a possibility. Um, President Z or G, Xi, and his issues with the United States, especially with the current administration, um, and how that window of opportunity to do anything to the United States will be closing soon, because Trump's going to come in and close up a lot of access to this country. Right now, the borders are still open; people are still able to come through pretty much at will. Um, it's just a scary time. I've also been hearing whispers of, you know, don't go to the inauguration. Um, it's probably a good idea to not go to that this year. Just being honest with you, I wouldn't personally go to that. Seems like things are too hot right now. Uh, yeah. So I sorry, I don't have a lot of like things to teach people today or cool subjects to talk about. This is more of like a hey, I just want to make sure you guys are up to date and understanding what's going on around you. Um, watch the news. That's what I would say. Right there's a lot of stuff going on, man. There's a lot of people doing really dumb shit right now. Tensions are high with other nations. Um, just be careful. Take care of yourselves. Um, And, as things happen, if they do happen, which we're being told is most likely to be the case, we'll come back on and try to update you guys. I don't know how many people uh don't look at things like Twitter or the news at all, and could potentially still be in the dark about this stuff. But with the way things are, I think that's extremely dangerous for yourself and for your family. So hopefully, if there is anybody out there that is unaware that any of this stuff had taken place, hopefully, I've kind of opened this up to you so that you can do some research for yourself and determine uh, your plan of action. I can tell you that my wife and we've been talking about it a lot lately. We're I wouldn't say I'm a prepper, but I have things in place. Maybe I am a prepper. I don't know. And I don't think it would be a terrible idea for people to be prepared for anything. Um, Rather be over prepared than not prepared in the case that it does happen. Or anything happens. Things like EMPs, nuclear bombs, um, an invasion of foreign military. There's a lot of things that can happen. And I think that, some of these warnings that we're hearing from government personnel is something that we should take serious. And, everyone needs to just watch out, be careful. All right. This Sunday, what are we talking about Sunday? Hold on. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got in the books? The Sunday. Ooh, we got Alex from Northwoods Bricks on this Sunday. So for those of you that don't know what that is, you see my little Mothman Lego guy right there? Look at him. Alex does this stuff. So we'll talk about monsters and and his business, and should be a pretty fun episode, right? I think it'd be cool. Seems to have a pretty cool thing going on. I like it. Thing's freaking neat. Um, yeah, that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you guys have a great day. It looks like I kept this to about 45 minutes. I was hoping for about 30 minutes, but it is what it is. And we'll see you next time. The next fork in the path of the infinite rabbit hole, everybody. Bye now.